Oh, there it is. It came on Friday after Matthew Stafford and the Rams got together Friday morning. And it didn't take very long from the meeting to the leak to the announcement that he's going to stay. And look, this is as simple as, in hindsight, Matthew Stafford wanting a certain amount of money, the Rams willing to pay him a significantly lesser amount of money, and the Rams basically saying, go see if somebody else out there will pay you closer to what you want, and if there is, and they're willing to trade for you, then we'll talk. So there were Raiders and Giants willing to do it. The Athletic reported in the aftermath of Stafford's decision to stay that the Raiders were willing to pay $45 to $50 million a year on a 2-year deal, $90 to $100 million. I still think that's a little light for what this guy's done and what the rest of the market is. We still don't know, and may not know for a little while, and they may not even get the deal done for a little while, what Stafford's actually getting. But whatever they added to the pile was enough to get him to say yes. And who knows what it was going to take. Maybe he ultimately took less from the Rams than he would have gotten from the Raiders or the Giants. But it sounds like once he came back and said, here's what I found, it caused somebody to blink.
Right.
And it got it done.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly seems like that. And I would think that in this process, too, right, the Rams closed that gap. Now, to get it to where, like, maybe what the Raiders or Giants are offering and the numbers you talked about, I don't know if they totally got to that ballpark there. But I would think they got it to a point to where now Matthew Stafford's like, okay, this makes more sense. I feel more comfortable. I'm protected. I feel like I'm being valued the way I should be. And as we talked about so much last week, I think it was a respect, a stare off, and he wanted the Rams to put their money where their mouth is and show them how much they like him. And also in knowing that, right, and all the things we talked about, like, hey, damn, the Rams are good. It's go time. They could go to the Super Bowl this year. They got that type of team. The great Eagles were on the ropes like we talked about against the Rams. We were sitting there on the sideline watching that. So I'm happy he's back for my football viewing pleasure because I do think the Rams are good. And, of course, they're really damn good with him at quarterback. And it didn't make sense like we discussed so much last week. Yeah, the money, if it was all about money, okay, go with the Raiders and the Giants, sure. But, man, that'd be a tough way to end your career like we talked about. And, it looks like we kind of thought all along. This was a stare-off of just getting the Rams closer into his stratosphere of what he thought he deserved to be paid.
And there's another hidden reality of this that doesn't get discussed nearly as much as it should, and it's not all that complicated. Nevada, no state income tax. California, 13%. So, on the low end of what the Raiders were reportedly willing to pay, let's say it's $45 million for this year, Chris. Let's say that's his total compensation for 2025. In Nevada, 0%, which means $0.00 state income tax. In California, it's an extra $5.85 million in taxes. Same total pay, an extra $5.85 million in taxes. Now, it's not quite that simple because you pay the tax rate of where you play your games. So if you play a game in Nevada, you don't pay state income tax for that game. You play, and I think I'm right on this.
Yeah.
I think I'm right. I'm not a CPA and I didn't do tax law, but at least half of your games are being played in your home state.
Right.
So it's at least $3 million in taxes coming off the top. And, of course, if you go to Nevada, you're going to have to pay the state income tax rate where you play
plus your signing bonus and things like that.
Right.
That's
Your signing bonus and your roster bonus,
right.
That's all subject to your state income tax, too. So if you have a really low salary, it doesn't hurt.
Right.
If you're getting most of your money in signing and roster bonus, that's based on the state where you are. So that's a huge difference as well. And I've talked to players about this, and all they care about is APY. They don't care about – and they should. They need to. They need to take the time to care about it because it is a big difference. And I'm surprised the teams in the states that don't have income tax don't use that more aggressively to recruit guys in free agency because it is a real bottom line take-home difference. If guys are going to be twisted up about giving an agent, 1 or 2% and let's negotiate the deal on my own, then you definitely should be thinking about a place where you're going to have to give up 13%. Sorry, California, but you're the ones that charge a 13% tax rate, not me. I wouldn't want to play for a team in California. I'd want to play for a team in a state with no state income tax.
No, I mean, I hear you. And there are a lot of guys that, with those thoughts that you're talking about. It's definitely real. It was real when I was playing. I hear guys talk about it all the time, right? I was in a place in Florida where, of course, that was not an issue. So it is real. Got to play with the Tennessee Titans. It was also real there, too. So, yeah, guys do pay attention to that. But, of course, there's only 32 teams, and you can't always get to that team exactly, right? And with this case here, like we talked about a lot, he's got a ton of money already. He's one of the richest players in the history of football. And I'm not saying, hey, getting more, I'm not going to ever judge him, just like you do. But I think it's also in a spot where it's like, wait, like we talked about, you get back to football, he could add to his legacy. He could have blank checks forever if he wins another Super Bowl and gets an MVP. Let alone, hey, it is L.A., and some people like living there, and they've become a more high-profile family. His wife's got a huge podcast and all that, and a part of that is because of L.A. and the guests she gets on and everything like that. And, yeah, so you're paying a little premium for that and the ocean and everything else that goes along with it. But, yeah, that 13% or 12%, like some states, guys definitely pay attention, and it does hurt when you're making the kind of money Matthew Stafford is.
I've never paid any attention to the Kelly Stafford podcast. Does she really get big guests on there? I'm not saying she doesn't.
It gets a lot of attention.
Don't
I just see it through various news feeds, let alone like my social media at times. So – but yeah, I mean, and they've become a high-profile family there in L.A. and all that.
Right, but that profile transfers if they had left. I don't know.
I don't
know how serious he was about leaving.
Right.
It might have just been he did the dance to get the Rams to come to the table with something better, and he was never going to leave. He was never going to go.
That's what I thought.
He was just going to try to get whatever he can. And how much more he got will tell us how serious he was.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we might look at it and hey, look at it this way. There's an old saying in agent circles. It's the 24-hour rule. I don't know if that's a saying, but bear with me. If you don't have any leaks or reports of what someone's getting on a new deal within 24 hours, it's not worth bragging about. Right? Have we seen anything about what the Rams are going to pay Matthew Stafford? Have we seen one word about it?
I haven't seen anything.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Well, only thing I'll think about that just to argue there is that they agreed on some just framework of a deal, and there's no few details, like you said to start the segment. They don't really have this all figured out yet. They sounds like they kind of just shook hands and they were like, we're going to put you right here in this ballpark. And he was like, sounds good. All right. And now we'll figure out the details later. I know, but that's what it seems like. And then maybe that's why we're not hearing numbers to this point.
Look, I want to be respectful to the folks who have big jobs with the various NFL teams, but I also can't remember, or I can't forget, key difference, history. And if I'm Matthew Stafford and I'm ultimately dealing with Kevin Demoff, who lied his ass off to the people of St. Louis, and I'm sorry, Kevin, but you did. You know you did. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. The NFL and the Rams ultimately paid $800 million because of the lies that were told by the Rams. And I know you were doing it for Stan Kroenke, but still, you did it. If I'm Matthew Stafford, I ain't walking out of anybody's office until that shit is in writing and signed on Friday. I'm not playing this game if I'm taking a leap of faith and I'm trusting the Rams to honor their word. I want my number. And, Chris, the framework for me, you better give me the number. I better know what the number is. And if the number hasn't been agreed to, that's a problem. I want to know what the number is before I commit to staying here.
I would think the number's been discussed. I'm just talking about structure, how it's paid, all that. That to me would be the details that are, still getting figured out here.
Now that I've set the stage for an awkward encounter when we go to the annual meetings in 4 weeks and I see Kevin Demoff, let me get back to my point. If they've discussed the number should be out there, right? If there's a number, the number should be out there if it's a number worth bragging about. And somebody with the agency will always make sure the number gets out. And if the player says, hey, man, the number wasn't supposed to get out. I didn't do it. I don't know how it got out, right? So the fact that the number's not out and it's been 3 days, I just wonder what the number is. And I wonder if it's all that great. And I wonder if it didn't take all that much to get Matthew Stafford to decide to stay put. And I don't have to wonder this. They're saying Tom Brady's going to be the secret weapon for the Raiders. Well, he's like Barry Bonds in the postseason so far. Like, he's 0 for 2, baby. He didn't deliver Ben Johnson, and he didn't deliver Matthew Stafford. And now the Raiders are like, where are we? Stafford was their guy.
Yeah, right.
They don't know what to do next.
No, they're in a spot. But Brady, it's over too. But it's with two guys that were very big commodities that had options that were definitely better. Right? I think the value of Brady will come in handy when they finally get it rolling and get some things in place. Then he'll be able to put people like Matthew Stafford or other people over the top on the team and go, look, our team's ready and all that. Now we just need you. But Matthew Stafford's been around the block a few times. He's going, hey, you're awesome, Tom. I love you. This is a great talk, right? But I still looking at the roster here, and your team's still not very good. So it's all good. You're the man. If you guys were a little bit better, hey, you made a lot of great points, and it's interesting, but you're just not damn good enough right now. And I don't give a damn if you're the Wizard of Oz or anybody else. It doesn't matter. I'm not coming here right now. And I just think they got to get it to a spot to where they could start to get a guy like him, and then Tom Brady will be able to work his magic. At least that's my 2 cents.
Well, they got to do something, and there was reporting from The Athletic over the weekend that John Spytek, the new GM, and Brady aren't all that enamored with the veteran options. Now, before that, there had been reports that they were going to turn their attention to the likes of Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields even. Could they go with a younger guy? The coaching staff wants a veteran, not a younger guy. They have Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew's under contract for a decent little chunk of money this year. So I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't think they know what they're going to do. And by the way, before we pivot to another name, Gary, I think, has cracked the case on what's going on with the Rams and Matthew Stafford. They have the concepts of a plan. That's what happened on Friday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.